Hi BookTube, Aaron here. Hope you're doing okay. Today for Tag Tuesday, I'm going to do the eReader book tag, and this was created a little while ago by Micah Cummins, and I was very kindly tagged by Fred from Read by Fred, and it was quite a while ago. I think it was about 4 months or so ago. So thank you for the tag, Fred, and sorry it's been so long. And it's a tag about e-reading, and I think part of the reason why I didn't really get to this tag immediately, even though I was quite excited about this tag when it came out, was because even though I had an e-reader, I didn't really use it that much. It wasn't part of my regular reading routine. It's a little more so now, so I thought I'd give the tag a go. So let's jump into it. There are 8 prompts, and the first prompt is, what was the first e-reader you ever owned? What was your reason for getting one? And were you a reluctant convert or an eager one? The first dedicated e-reader I've ever owned, and it's really the only e-reader I own, is this Kindle, and it's just a Kindle 10th generation from 2019, I believe. So it's that weird model where it's not Paperwhite, it's not Kindle Basic, it's just a Kindle. And I only found that out when I got this case and I had to work out the model. And yeah, I got it in 2021, I think. And mainly because up until then, I suppose technically, my first e-reader was this. It was my laptop, an Acer laptop, kind of Chromebook kind of thing. And for uni, I would download certain maybe short stories or articles, journals. Sometimes I would download like a literary magazine or something like that, and I'd have them as PDFs on my computer or on a memory stick or something. But I would kind of forget that they were there. I'd maybe read 1 or 2 poems from a literary journal or something, and then just kind of forget about it because it wasn't physical, it wasn't on my shelves or on my desk or whatever. And so I think part of my reason for getting one was because, and I use the word dedicated, I kind of heard this phrase kind of bouncing around, particularly on BookTube, people having a dedicated e-reader. And maybe part of the reason why I was forgetting I had all these books or sort of bits of books on my computer was because I would really be using my computer for other things. And it wasn't necessarily that they were distractions. It was just that when I look at this device, reading isn't what I think of. It's writing or it's searching or something like that. And so I thought it would be quite a good idea to have a dedicated e-reader, and it's just for e-reading. And so I just got the simplest, just the simplest, smallest Kindle that was on offer at the time. I think over here it was something like £60, maybe £50, something like that. And yeah, I was a kind of slow, somewhat reluctant convert to it. From the get-go, I kind of enjoyed the experience. I liked the way it felt. I liked the way you moved through a book. It mainly just took a while to work out what I was going to read on it. So we'll kind of get to that in a little while. The second prompt is, what e-readers do you use now? So what e-readers do you own? I still only just own this. This is probably the only one I'll use. We'll see. I might, eventually upgrade or get a backup Kindle, but or some other device. But for now, that's what I own. Number 3, do you read digitally on different devices or always on the same device? If so, so if you use different devices, how do you choose which one to use? And again, I just use this one. I don't really use my computer for reading, although there are certain things that I might go back to that are on my computer, but that's more kind of for reference, not necessarily for reading. Sometimes I think of them a little differently. The fourth prompt is, do you still read physical books? If so, how do you decide which format to read a certain book in? And I do still read physical books. You can see a few behind me. And most of my reading is still physical books at the moment. I'm transitioning to reading more as ebooks, but I don't know whether they'll ever overtake the physical books. But that's because at the moment my e-library is relatively small. Like, I still haven't worked out a routine for acquiring ebooks. It's still a little sporadic. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to build up my e-library, so that's something I'm still kind of working out. Then number 5 is, what is something you dislike about reading ebooks? This isn't a big one, but so far I've found poetry a little bit weird on ebooks, and that's mainly just the way poetry is formatted. Sometimes it's just a bit off. The lines don't always run quite right. However, the one advantage to reading poetry on an e-reader is that you can at least zoom out, and so the text might be really small, but you kind of can have all the space that you have. But the trouble is that sometimes at the text size I find comfortable, sometimes the lines kind of get cut up a bit. But otherwise, there's not really anything about e-reading that I particularly dislike. Number 6, would you ever ditch physical books completely and become a sole ebook reader? If yes, why? If no, why not? And I don't think I could do that. Mainly because, I don't know, I kind of fell in love with reading through physical books. And so I feel like even if I did most of my reading on an e-reader, I would still collect physical books, not necessarily antiquarian books, but just I'd pick up books I felt drawn to, and I would leaf through them and sort of read bits and pieces from them, just because that's my kind of habit, my approach to reading. And that could change, but I can't imagine it changing so much that I only read ebooks. I think something cataclysmic would have to happen for me to get to that point. You know, if my I don't know, my house burnt down, or I had to flee the country or something, and even then maybe I'd lose my e-reader too. Number 7, where do you get your ebooks? So from the Kindle store, from library loans, third-party websites, and for me, I've got a fair few from the Kindle store. I try not to buy books through the Kindle store, so I've downloaded quite a lot of free things from there. And so I've got the complete works of Shakespeare. And going back to the how do you choose which books to read, so I have the complete Shakespeare on my Kindle. So my actual physical complete Shakespeare is big and cumbersome. So maybe if I want to read a Shakespeare play in bits and pieces, maybe not all in one go, and I'm maybe out and about, I can just take my Kindle with me. And if I feel like it when I get home, I can always pick up the physical version and open it up to where I'm up to. But, you know, the likelihood is that I'll just end up reading all on my Kindle. Yeah, I've also been gifted a few books, and so Steve Donoghue has sent quite a few books over to me. So that's that's sort of helped me build up my library. But as I said, I'm still working out how to get into a kind of book acquiring routine. I think I'll probably end up buying them on third-party websites and then moving them over, but also downloading books off Project Gutenberg as well. I've done that before, just not onto my Kindle. I've sort of consulted Project Gutenberg a few times, so I think that's probably how I'll do it. I just haven't built up that routine yet. And there we go. The last prompt is to tag some people, and this is quite an old tag, so I don't know who hasn't done it yet. But if you are someone who owns an e-reader and you feel like doing this, whether you're really into e-reading or not, then yeah, feel free to consider yourself tagged and to give this a go. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and take care. Bye.